If you're new to my channel, I'm not like a normal YouTuber. I don't do once a week uploads. I do stuff when I have stuff to do. But also my normal life, springtime, past couple years, it's just that's when things hit hard and I work 6 to 7 days a week. Hardly have any time to get to the stuff that I like to get to back there. So I do what I can. The portion of the video you're about to watch was several weeks ago, before I got into one of those long stretches of a 16-day work week. And this is the first Saturday I've had some time off. I had last Sunday off. Life's like that, so I don't always get to work on what I want to work on. Sometimes I just gotta bite the bullet and hand it off to somebody else, hand it off to a shop to get things done that I want to get done. It's just the way it is. This one, honestly, I don't know how much you would really get out of what I just did with the truck anyway. A short little video with a little bit of comparison. There's only one thing I'm going to do today that really has to be done. Sitting out here in shorts and a sweatshirt in February in Utah, because it's like 47 degrees out here, and that's the best the weather's going to get, to make a repair I need to make. Alright, before we get going on this, let's get some reference measurements. Starting up front. Generally the center of the tire, I'm just under 10.5 inches. Yeah, just under 10.5 there. This step right here, that's at my garage. I'm at 22 inches. Back step, that's funny, 22.5 right there. Center of tire here, about 11 inches. So that does, I was thinking I was higher in the back than I am in the front, a lot more. I'm not. It's only about a ½ inch difference. I thought I had more rake than that. Rear of my bumpers at about, take the low point, about 31 inches, at least here on the side. I didn't pull the front bumper, did I? Front bumper's around 28. Curious. Very curious. Alright, let's get to it. These two little spots have happened because the tire impacts the fender and shoves it in and closes that gap on the door. It's peeled off the Line X. Don't know what to really do with that. And this is exactly why I'm doing what's really been done on the main part of this video. But I'm gonna take care of this. I'm gonna put a little bit of paint on it while we've actually got warm enough weather. I'm not concerned here in Utah with the rust going far, because yes, we use salt on our roads, but we have dry weather. So unlike the Midwest where the salt with the humidity will just kill your vehicle, all I'm getting here is basically just a little bit of flash rust. That'll clean up pretty easily. Put a little bit of Rust-Oleum on it, call it good, because the thing with the Line X is you can't really go back and fill that in. There's not much that can be done with that. So this is what it is. It's going to be painted. It's going to be painted. You see how tight that is there. The door does open, but any impact from tire to the fender causes these problems, which is why I did the body lift. We'll get into that in a second. So here's the basic formula I'm after. I got a set of bushings from Energy Suspension, and these bushings, you know, they're polyurethane versus the 24-year-old compressed and almost, it wasn't bad as far as the rubber goes from the factory, but it was compressed. It was showing some cracking, showing some age, 24 years old. So the entire body now has these mounts, plus you see that shiny aluminum that comes from ORD. Little pucks that they, $5, $6, $7, whatever they charge for them, so not much. One note, I ordered 10 of them because the LMC truck diagram showed me 10 body mount bolts. Problem is, there's 14 of them. So there were 4 for the Suburban that are under the gas tank that had to be additioned. So if you're going to do on a Suburban a simple body lift like this in conjunction with replacing your bushings, you need to order 14 of those pucks. ORD hasn't as of yet done any sort of kits for the OBS Chevys, but that's what they are right there. It's pretty simple. You do need to get longer bolts, and I forget the thread specs and all that kind of stuff. Again, I handed this off to the shop in conjunction with doing oil change, tire rotation, all of the normal 5,000 mile services. And you can see the other bushings here. When you do these, and this is funny because this now makes it that the only truck I have owned that I have not done some form of body lift on would be my 93 Suburban. That truck probably needed it, but I didn't do it. I ended up trading for this truck anyway. When you do these, you notice this one is a bolt coming from the top. So you've got to take the grill off, or if I remember right, you can take out the lights and you'll be able to get to it just with that. You loosen up all of the mounts, and you only work one side at a time for replacements. Poor mailman, he's got a noisy little old truck. You only work one side for the replacements. So you pull everything off on one side, you'll jack up the body, frame needs to be somewhere level, then you can get everything in there. With just 1-inch pucks, you're not going to stretch anything in between the body and the frame, especially not on this truck where the transmission shifter is a cable actuated one anyway. So jack up one side, get them replaced, go to the other side, jack it up, get them replaced. Once you've got them all replaced, check your alignment with everything. More important with a pickup truck, like this one that I have body lift, so you don't get, and I do need to readjust this one because I noticed my bed, holy glare Batman, but the bed on the S10 is just slightly off from the cab, and that's just from beating it off-road. I do need to go after those ones and slide it all back together again. On a Suburban, not so much of an issue. The only thing is just playing around with the fenders and where I've got the reveals here. That's kind of a problem there. Again, I want these tires just a little bit farther away from the fender. I've cut them about as far as I probably can because it does hit up into here. But yeah, they're not hard kits to do. If you're doing a body lift, it's not hard at all. It's not complicated. Don't know that it would have made an interesting video. So let's cap this up with doing some of the measurements. I realized in that clip I did a couple weeks back, I did do a measurement off the bumper, and that was because we were considering changing the height on the springs, which you can do that. Because all you end up doing is moving this piece down, and I was considering going another inch down, but I've already got a lot of preload on this set of springs right here. The discussion I was having with my guys was whether or not I need another size spring up here, because the trail ready bumper, the winch, the 454, the 4 LED, all that weight up here, I don't feel like this spring is really doing what it could be doing. And there's your spring size right there on these coils. So I may later go for a different size of springs, but that's probably in conjunction with another, honestly, massaging of this whole front suspension. I need longer arms, and I need to push this entire tire forward an inch, maybe 2, because I'm looking at how much room I have here versus here. It doesn't seem to be centered in there, and there's some that say, yeah, you don't really need to, but I find that it's easier to deal with the issues up front than it is in the back. So that's a future video coming later. But why I pulled measurements from the bumper was because I was considering playing around with the shock settings or the spring coil settings. And that's an easy way to gain lift. I could probably put it up another inch and be okay, except for I don't like that preload. So one of our thought was is not even moving that, but just replacing with a stiffer upper spring to deal with that. So I don't think this bumper should have changed much at all. Yeah, it's still about where it was, 28 and a half, somewhere around there. It was where it was at this corner. What should have changed though, here, that is curious to me. So we're at about 11 inches. It was 10 inches, so I got an inch. I was wondering if by going to the polyurethane bushings I would gain more height because the rubber ones had been compressed. Now here from, basically the concrete at my garage to there, I'm now at about 23 inches. So we gained some height there. There we're like at 23 and a half, gained some height there. Oh wow, the back it definitely went up because now we're at like 12 and a half. We were at 11 and a half, so that went up an inch. So that's to be expected. Rear of the body, I don't know if I take a measurement on that one at all. I mean, that's, to that body pan now, it's like 32 and a half inches to this point here. Rear bumper should be about the same still. Yeah, rear bumper's still there at like 31. And you look at the, now this has a difference. I don't know if I'm going to mess with that. I think I'm going to leave it exactly as it is. The front bumper I do probably want to push up, but this one I'll probably leave exactly as it is. But yeah, so I've got a little bit more clearance. Definitely lifted the body up. Nobody tell my wife the truck is now taller. She complains enough about probably wanting a footstool to get in here anyhow. And I don't really feel like putting amp research steps on this thing, even though she has seen those and she says that is a great idea, so maybe someday I will put them on, but I don't feel like it today. So body lift in conjunction with the replacement of the bushings. And I do notice the bushings, it's a little bit more harsher in the ride. The body's definitely stiffer in comparison to the frame. But what's really funny is I think I need to do my rotation schedule on the tires at every 2,500 miles instead of waiting for every 5,000 when I do the oil changes. Because I'm definitely feeling the change. We're definitely getting some uneven wear. So I think I do need to change that if I plan on running mud terrains. This will show you I've done it before. But regular tapes, your regular blue tapes, green tapes, whatever, do not stick to Line-X. I use T-Rex tape. And that holds it well enough for me able to mask stuff off when I got to hold the Line-X. That one I definitely need to work with. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this one. It's got a little bit of dings. I used just the brush touch-up paint to do that last time. Yeah, just a little bit of 300 grit the red. It's just surface rust. Knock off the loose stuff that way. It's funny, I get in the other videos people that get really upset that I use Windex to clean up before rattle can paint jobs. It's always worked for me. The stuff has got a good flash point. It all pretty much evaporates away. It does clean up a lot of any of the grease or other stuff from me touching it. A lot of the dust and stuff is now gone. That's as clean as I need it to be for the job I am doing. It's funny that all of this is exactly why I went after the body lift in the first place. I mean, the bushings, I probably could have left them on for another 2 or 3 years before really having a problem with them, but whatever. In for a penny, in for a pound, they both needed to be done. Alright, that's how I mask up for a spot repair like that. Simple garbage bag, cut the hole in it, and then everything's there. Masked up enough for what I'm doing. Try to control the overspray, not go too high up there. Should be okay. Alright, since it is still February, take the rattle cans and put them in a sink full of hottest water that I can get out of my sink, which should be around 120 degrees. Shake all that water off of it. But warm up the can. Warm it up and shake it. When you warm up the can and it's wintertime and it's cooler like this, then you do a lot better. That's about all of that I need. The Rust-Oleum rust reformer instantly converts rust to a protected paintable surface. Well, usually it does okay. Just gotta let that set up and dry a little bit. I didn't need much. Probably gonna run my heat gun out here too and give it some warmth besides that. I don't want to get too close to it, just throw some heat at it. It occurs to me I could have heated up the metal first, got it nice and warm, that might have helped. But this should usually do the trick when I'm doing cold weather painting. Again, I'm not trying to heat it up too bad, I'm just trying to give it some warmth. It's about 50 degrees outside, which, you know, you would really prefer more like 60 or 70 degrees to paint this, but while we got this warm spell here in the high desert, I want to get this done. Trying to remember what the flash time on this stuff is. Interesting thing, fine print here. Based on 70 degrees, 5% relative humidity, allow more time for colder temperatures. Allow to dry for 24 hours. If desired, apply a top coat after 24 hours. For maximum top coat adhesion and protection, use Rust-Oleum Stops Rust paint. I don't know that I've ever waited 24 hours for this stuff, and maybe that's why it doesn't work as well as it should for me. I don't know. I'm looking at it, it's dry to the touch. Yeah, just touching on the duct tape there, it's dry to the touch, so I don't know if they're just looking at that for some of the catalytic reaction to happen, to change the rust into something different. Used to know what it changed it into, some sort of phosphate or something like that it changes into, hardens up on the surface. But me, I'm going crazy. I'm about to recoat it. What's the worst could happen? I have to redo it in the spring. Next thing I'm going after is some duplicolored truck bed coating to give it a little bit of texture. I don't know, I'm just trying something here. Now, I've tried the Rust-Oleum truck bed stuff. I've never particularly cared for it. I get such mixed results with it. Funny, whole can of that, all I want is 3 or 4 spritzes. Just enough to provide a little bit of texture. Now this stuff, I am going to have to wait for it to dry. I've used this stuff for years. They've changed the formula a couple times, once or twice, but I've used this stuff for years and always liked it. It's funny, it's the only Dupli-Crap product that I actually do like. All right, for a down and dirty little repair, just trying to keep the surface rust at bay, it actually did okay. Now there's no way rattle cans are going to match the thickness or texture of good Line-X, but it's not bad. It's actually not a bad color match. This is just a shade darker maybe, but it's better than it was looking with a rusty spot. And that right there is the crux of why the body lift and why the suspension, the idea is of changing the suspension. I need more space because I'm getting that damage. Getting the body away from it all, that'll be all right. We'll find out. Next wheeling trip's coming up pretty quickly. I actually have next Saturday off, finally. We're gonna go see what kind of trouble we can get into. But there you go. A little bit about how to do a body lift. Sorry I didn't show you much of it because honestly I didn't have the time to do it myself. I handed it off to the boys at Big O. They did it nice and neat, along with, oh goodness, the regular services, rotating tires, then the changing the oil, checking all the fluids, and replacing a water pump. Because, you know, anytime you're doing something else, there's got to be at least something that says, hey, look at me. So it was the water pump this time. But yeah, you come this far, appreciate you watching. Hope it gave you some ideas, did you some good, and we'll catch you on the next one.